Well, when it comes to gear for singing, there's a few things you might want to think about. One is that I approach singing as a sport, as an athletic activity. So athletic gear actually can come in handy in your training. I use strength bands. They are stretchy bands that are looped, and you can use them in various ways. You can put them behind your head, you can put them on your jaw, strengthen the muscles in a way that feels safe, because these are small, delicate muscles, but they really need to be well mapped for singers to actually have good support for their voices. If you want to see more, you can go check out my online studio. I take you through some exercises, and the bands are also linked on my website on the Gear for Singers page if you want to get the models that I use. I also think there's lots of things with breathing that can be good to have for gear. For most of us, we are breathing too quickly and too shallowly. So there's some things that you can use that actually help you regulate your breathing and make sure that you're not rushing through your inhalation or your exhalation. So I have this little guy here, which is called a Breathe Slim. Can you guys see that on the camera? Yeah. So this is called a Breathe Slim. It's actually marketed for weight loss, which, hey, if you want that too, that's great. But I use it just to work on cardiovascular fitness for singers. And this is the way it works. You fill it up with water to these little lines right here. You put this little guy in your mouth, and then you inhale and exhale through it. It makes a cool little bubbling sound. Got a little aggressive there. Let's try it one more time. So what that does is I'm actually using water to provide resistance for my air. That builds up my ability to keep my lungs open and to have them fully inflate, and also to contract properly to support singing. So about 15 to 20 minutes while you're watching TV, this will go a long way towards helping your breath be more available for you and stronger when you're actually singing. So when it comes to being a singer, a sentence that I encourage everyone to memorize is sensory feeds motor. Your senses and your ability to feel things feeds your ability to actually move things. And singing is a very complex motor activity. It requires a lot of really advanced coordination. So for a lot of us, we have little dead spots in our mouth that we're actually not aware or we're not actually feeling. So this little guy is called a Z-vibe. What you do is you turn this little knob on the bottom and it vibrates like an electric toothbrush. And then what you do is you run it back along either side of your tongue like this. And you make sure that you can actually feel it all the way back. Your tongue is divided into different nerves, and there's often are places where you're actually not feeling the sensation. So your teacher can say, hey, lift your tongue or lower your tongue, and you actually can't do it because you can't feel it. So this actually helps to wake up the nerves in your tongue and your mouth. You also can use it for your soft palate. So if you have a teacher saying, hey, your palate's always down, you're not lifting up, this is a great way to fix that. You do the same thing, you turn the little nubs there up and you run it back along the roof of your mouth on both sides. If you find a dead spot, you leave it on for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then you try your phrase of singing again. Often it will immediately improve because your brain has actually woken up. Now you can feel that spot that was kind of dead, and it helps you be much more coordinated and a lot more refined in how you use diction, and also how you coordinate different sounds like belting versus soprano singing. Lots of music theater people need to make big, quick changes in how they sing, and this is the way to get a lot better at that. So this little guy here is a tuning fork, and this is something that I think every singer should own. It makes a pitch when you hit it like this on your hand. It vibrates, and then you can put this on anywhere in your body and actually check and make sure that you can hear the pitch that this is vibrating through your bones. The human body is so crazy, we actually hear pitch through our bones. So placement in voice is this right here, which is called bone conduction. So when someone says to you, place your voice somewhere, you have to make sure you actually can hear this pitch in any place that you go. Let's say you're a soprano, you're singing only high notes, you never use your chest voice. If you put this on your chest and you don't hear any note, no wonder you don't sing in your chest voice, because you don't actually hear it correctly. You need to put this on until it starts to actually wake up, and you move it around until you find a spot that you actually can hear the note from, and then you move yourself away from there every day to make sure that you actually have resonance in these places that you're supposed to as a singer. Conversely, let's say you're a belter, you never use your head voice. You put this on your head, you don't hear anything at all. Again, no wonder you don't use your head voice properly, because you can't put it there if you can't feel it. So you leave this on your head, you find a spot again that you actually can hear it correctly, and then you move yourself back a little bit and up every day until you actually have an ability to hear the pitch. If this is really hard for you, you start behind your ear, you slap it on your hand, you put it right here behind your ear on both sides. Everybody also should be comparing both sides and see if you have one side that is louder than the other. That really comes in when you're in audition situations, because sometimes your weak ear is facing towards the piano. So you have problems, you're like, I did it great in one audition, the next audition I tanked. It could be because you have a strong ear, and just depending on where the music's coming from, you do a lot better with one side. So if you have a weak ear, you do this every day to wake up your bone conduction on that weak side, and then that evens everything out, and you have a much more consistent audition rep and a more consistent time in auditions in general if you can be much more even side to side in terms of how your ears work. So the tongue is a group of muscles like any group of muscles in our body, and they need a workout. So if you're trying to learn to be a belter, you have to be able to elevate your tongue and to thrust your tongue out of your mouth. For many people, that's actually quite challenging, but it can be easier when you have a point to actually resist against. It's a great test at home to take your hands together and just press them together like this. If you do that, you're going to feel some energy in your muscles. It's called an isometric exercise. There's no movement, but I can feel my muscles actually working. So that's how the tongue should be worked out. You use a tongue depressor like this. You can get it at the drugstore. You can even use a spoon if you don't have one of these at home. Spoon with the bowl side down. You put it on your tongue. You press the tongue depressor down. You press your tongue up against it like this. And you hold that for about 5 or 10 seconds. A lot of you at home will find that one side's stronger than the other. Take it to either side of your tongue, your left and your right. Make sure you can actually press up with both sides equally. If you have a weak side, you got to work it out. So take it to that weak side, press up for 5 or 10 seconds. Then immediately sing a phrase of your music. See if it got easier. If that improved, that means you need to actually be working out your tongue, basically doing tongue push-ups with some resistance every single day. The other thing to check is take it flat like this and horizontally, put it in front, and you're going to thrust the tip of your tongue out, push the depressor back like this. And again, you hold for 5 or 10 seconds, and then you immediately sing. These are the two key tongue motions that a belter needs to be able to make, and this will make it a lot more reliable and a lot easier to feel whether you're working out those muscles correctly.